Good morning, everybody. I believe we are live. Sometimes it's a bit hard to tell, but the signals are there. So, good morning, everybody, for Monday, 8th of March, for our Quest at Home Facebook Live. And so good to be with you here again. And today is International Women's Day, so I wish you a very celebratory International Women's Day. If you are a woman, hope that you celebrate yourself and other women today. And if you're a man, I hope you celebrate amazing women in your life today. And yes, I love this day of celebration of women. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for saying good morning. So, today I wanted to revisit the topic of self-care, and always, as I'm sure the other facilitators reflect with you, as you know, at Quest we do celebrate our own lives and reflect on our own lives as part of what we share with you. Morning, Ruth. Morning, Glyn. As that's what keeps it alive for us, and because you know that the facilitators at Quest all come from the space of we also walk this journey with you, and so that's what keeps it very fresh and alive and present for us. So thank you to the people who wished me birthday wishes. I had a beautiful birthday weekend, and then I had an unexpected event, which for those of us with PTSD can really be a setback. And my journey with that has been such a beautiful reflection on really using the teachings of Quest. So good morning, Karen, Jan, and Alexandra. Happy Women's Day to you all. So let's just start with coming together with a breath and bringing ourselves present to this moment, to this broadcast, and to spending this next half hour together in good company, as we like to celebrate that at Quest. And so feeling our feet on the floor, and we may or may not close or rest the eyes, but really bringing into presence, sitting on our chair, being in front of our computer, being present to ourselves in the moment, to our own senses, and that may be sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of taste, hearing sounds inside the room, and taking that awareness of sound right outside the room. And a lovely deep breath, being aware of the breath, coming into the body's awareness of self-experience in this present moment. Because our amazing minds can get so active in the future and the past. And we know the secret to experiencing any sense of peace is to be in the present moment. Just allowing the breath to deepen and go right down to the belly, right down to feeling your sitting bones sitting on the chair. And this is a practice we call coming to our senses. Petrea says she does it every 5 minutes as a way to walk through life as graciously and as presently as possible. Gives us access to our intuition, our inner knowing, our best self, and brings us out of reaction into response, where we can be response able, which gives us access to much better choices and really being able to step through whatever we need to step through using our own sense of inner guidance, rather than feeling helpless and hopeless and waiting for someone else to tell us what to do, which takes us into that victim space, which is so painful and uncomfortable. And I know that a lot of us, I use the word us, have suffered and can be impacted in our lives by post-traumatic stress disorder, which is where the experiences and events of the past intrude themselves into our present awareness, and they can take over and run the show. And the more mindful we become, the more able we become to be in the present moment, the less that reactivity can take hold. And so I felt to share with you an experience I've been having in this last week of that. And I know that it can really help to share these experiences, our experience, strength and hope from our practices of our Quest very practical tools, to just show us we don't have that many role models of what it looks like to walk through this journey consciously and mindfully and see what else is possible. So that's my intention for this morning, and why I wrote that self-care can go even deeper, because when we're response able, we're pretty much always going to arrive at the place of knowing that we need, particularly if we have PTSD, that we need better and better self-care. It can never get too good. It can never be enough in a way of saying, oh yeah, I've done that. It's an ongoing commitment, which is why I also presenced the second C in the description of today's talk, because that commitment to our own lives, to our own quality of life, is paramount when we're walking that journey with PTSD, because it can just hijack our brains without a moment's notice. We just find ourselves gone into shutdown, freeze, flight, fight, and we just find ourselves there given the right stimuli, and it can often be hard to walk ourselves out. And so the more we can have these conversations about conscious awareness and how that can make a difference with very practical examples, I think the more that helps, the more that certainly helps me. So that's the offering this morning, to look at that together. So I had took the week off last week for a birthday week and celebration, and many of you were kind enough to wish me happy birthday, and I did indeed have a beautiful birthday, ending with a fabulous camping trip to a place near here that we love to go. And on the last day of the camping trip, as I was walking down to the river for my final swim in the river, I slipped on the gravel road and had a quite nasty fall on my bad knee, the knee that I've been lovingly rehabilitating for 2 years, and went right over on it, and in the way that you really wouldn't want that knee to go, and was very, very painful in the moment. And my body awareness was very clear to scream that out. It wasn't much of a choice, but it was like I had to make a lot of noise to just cope with the experience of falling to the ground and knowing that the knee had been really hurt again. So, this is the person with PTSD's worst nightmare. I'm just relaxing and having a good time, finally feel safe, finally feel allowed to have fun, and boom, somebody's ripped the carpet out literally from underneath me, and here I am in a painful situation again. So with that life script flashing before my eyes, fortunately I did have friends with me. I was really launched into a journey of how to be very present to what the body needed and what my human self needed and my child self needed in such a scary moment of life suddenly gone very unpredictable again in a super painful way. And so, and at the same time, I wasn't dying. Nobody I knew and loved was dying in that moment. I was in a beautiful space. I had people to help me. So, not a tragedy, but we know the PTSD brain can go there anyway. So anyway, there was many moments and conscious people with me to assist me in getting present, to come into the present moment, which was so helpful. The mind wants to gallop off to what's going to happen to my son, what's going to happen to the dog, next week, my life flashing before. I was like, no, let's just come into the present moment and be able to make choices around what is needed in the present moment. So the humorous highlight of this is by the time the ambulance came, because I knew I wasn't actually able to get up and move, I had at this river that we go to, it's a very fun, free-flowing river, and so people and us float down it. So we had a large llama and a large unicorn already inflated, which were brought down, one to support my leg and one to support my back. And then they brought down the whole, what's that called, gazebo thing to put over me. So first I was in the beating sun and then I was in the pouring rain because this is the Sunshine Coast. And so when the ambulance guys finally arrived, because they'd been busy, an hour or so later, I was there surrounded by unicorns and llamas under a pavilion. And I said to them, I know this looks like I'm having a really good time. And but they agreed that the leg needed to really be protected. And so I went off to spend the afternoon being cared for in a medical situation, a hospital. So anyway, that was the story, and we were able to access quite a bit of support for my son, and the hospital people did a beautiful job, what have you, determining the injury of the knee and some stitches and various things. So this week then, off my feet, and sometimes helpful people say things like, oh, the knee moving forward. Well, I didn't take to that very kindly, I have to say. It's like, oh yeah, I've done a lot of moving forward. That's not helping me right now, but thank you for the offering. And so attending to the body in pain, in the shock that goes with it, and really determining what's needed needs to be such a self-caring journey. Whereas Petrea would say we need those skills, those life skills of our intuitive access to what's in the quantum field. We need to tune in to the body and yes, various people have different approaches. What approach feels right for my body this week? We need that ability to stay present. And one of the things that I think many of us have found, particularly with a trauma background, is that we fight, flight, or we leave our own body in a moment of pain and distress. And so I was really practicing wanting to be very present for the body and say, you know what, hand on heart, hand on belly, that vagus nerve connection. I'm here with you. I'm going to make the best choices I can. We don't have to become emotionally a victim of this circumstance. Like, it's not life-threatening. I've got what I need. I'll be taken care of. But how do we access the best care and the best circumstances for healing and for self-care and for managing another family member with a disability with a big emotional reaction? So, that takes some mindfulness and a lot of watching on the couch, watching Netflix also, it has to be said. So balancing between those two events, really such a journey to practice. Yeah, this is the commitment. This is where I get to show up in the commitment to taking care of myself even deeper, because sometimes we can pay lip service to that concept. And those of you who've been listening to me for a while know that I'm pretty passionate about really loving ourselves, which means feeling that deep compassion. This is not an egotistical, oh, I love myself, I think I'm fantastic. It doesn't matter what I think of myself. It doesn't matter what judgments I do or don't have of myself. It's really not the point. That's all pretty much learnt thinking, which by and large is not helpful. What does matter so pertinently is this deep self-compassion. And some of you may practice with Petrea's forgiveness meditation. It's a beautiful meditation. And in that, she invites us to visit that smaller child part of us and really have and practice and get to know compassion for ourselves, and particularly that child part of ourselves that lives in that volcano of emotion that we talk about at Quest so often. And for anyone with a PTSD brain trigger, it's super important to do this when we get a shock or a fright or a wounding, physical and or emotional. Super important to come in first with this strong compassion for the self. None of the, oh, here I go again, or none of the, I should be over this by now. None of the, I'm overreacting, I'm being a drama queen. None of that. Deep, deep compassion for the parts of us who are so triggered by the brain in light of past lived experiences. But we also don't want to trap ourselves in staying in the emotions of those past lived experiences. The Quest program is all about using the tools of awareness, using the tool of compassion to move ourselves beyond the emotions of those past trapped experiences into a life where we feel that we thrive. We thrive on self-love. I just love to use that word, but and self-love isn't the same as self-liking. You don't have to decide that you like yourself and everything you did was okay. It's not that conversation. It's like, you know what? I've been doing my darndest as long as I can, and I may have made some spectacular, what could be called mistakes with the blessing of 2020 hindsight, but that's not the point. The point is, how do I best support and be on my own team and have my back now in my current life, so that I can, no matter what happens, I'm capable of directing myself towards self-healing, not towards self-loathing or self-criticizing or self-depressing with, oh, this always happens to me. I was just starting to feel good and now something bad has happened. We understand where those thoughts have come from. They're not personal. Everybody has them. They're very predictable. They're the dysfunctional thoughts of a traumatized brain. Pretty much everybody's comes up with the same thing. It's pretty predictable. It's not even our own unique script, so we don't have to get attached to it with, this is my story. It's like, this is the story of a brain with PTSD programs programmed into it by our experiences and by not having the help we needed at the time of the trauma. The time seed of this for me, I was 12, it was the 60s. Nobody knew about trauma. Nobody talked about it. People back from the war were given alcohol and cigarettes and told to go home and forget about it. Like that worked, right? So, bless. We have all this information now. We want to use it for ourselves. So, that's been a dance through the week of knowing when to lie down, put the foot up, do nothing, watch Netflix, give the brain a break, just chill and let the body deal with the swelling and the painful bits and the cut bits and all of that. Let the body have a break. But also, for all of us, mental health paramount. And so this is when my mental health can go a bit dodgy, 3 sheets to the wind. And so must be a time of that commitment, that second C, to say, you know what, I am committed to not leaving me to suffer this in those old programs. I'm committed to helping myself through this. Now, I wasn't crash hot at meditating this week. The brain was a bit gone somewhere else. So what I do when the brain is really having trouble with that focus is I just listen to other people's voices that are going to be saying eminently sensible, loving, kind things. So I might listen to Petrea's voice. I might listen to one of our other gorgeous facilitators' voices. I might listen to teachers I've found online. My goodness, with YouTube, we've got all the best voices in the world, beautiful voices speaking to us. We could listen to Eckhart Tolle. We could listen to any great meditation teacher, beautiful beings that there are that we can feast our ears on to talk me through, to walk me through the spaces where the trauma brain wanted to hijack the experience. And I didn't need that to happen. And a lot of the time I fell asleep to that, which is fabulous. I don't need to remember, I don't need to know necessarily. I just need to hear that soothing, kind tone. I've actually been listening to some professional development on the neurobiology of trauma, and I'm amazed with my favourite Dan Siegel and all the other great researchers on trauma brain, and I find that very soothing. So I love that, because as a professional it's interesting, but as a person with PTSD I find it very soothing as they discuss the brain, and to go, oh yeah, thank you, that feels good, because it just reminds me it's not me, it's not my personality. Every trauma brain does this. I don't have to take it personally, so there's no requirement for self-judgment, self fear of what my brain does. There's no need for that fear to come in. It's like if I keep feeding the brain with what I know it needs, which is water and really good food, and might take some herbal remedies or herbal teas or whatever is needed to thanks Kate, to let this come in, nurture the brain, nurture myself. And so, some of you know by now that I quite enjoy talking to myself in loving tones. I just love that feeling of a talk to myself. It's okay, sweetheart. Okay, need to go to the bathroom. Bit of a mission. Here we go. I was on crutches. That was a bit hilarious for the first part of the week. So, talking myself through that kindly and lovingly. So, another piece of this I wanted to share with you in a meditation on yesterday, Sunday, was like, okay, the body, after a week of managing all that, there's another level of fatigue that comes in. And there's a kind of part of the brain that goes, oh, you should be getting over this by now. It's been a week. It's like, yeah, no, I don't think that's true. With a knee that was as damaged as it was, and then the injury you did, I don't think that's probably very accurate information. So what else do we need? And I thought, I really need some calm, warm, loving hands on this body, but I don't think I can have a massage. And the knee needs some other kind of attention. And so I remembered a friend had told me about a new osteopath in the area, and I got online, God bless the internet, and I could book an appointment with her at 8 o'clock this morning. My son could drive me there. It was all like, okay. So very happy to have found this lovely young woman, and she knows all about the vagus nerve, and I could do the shorthand. PTSD since 12, injury on the knee, gut that doesn't work very well. Like, we could just have that conversation. So helpful. And really enjoyed the treatment that she gave me. And there were times when I've never had this before, where she was really, because we say at Quest, the issue is in our tissues, and we do encourage you to get good body work, and we always have a beautiful massage therapist there, and we give that attention to the body work. So I was just with that, yes, the issue is in the tissues, and I thought, I feel like that's what I need. So this beautiful young woman was doing some new moves I hadn't had before on the diaphragm and the breath. And there was a moment in this treatment where I took a breath. It was like, and I had the awareness, and this kind of self-awareness, which is so helpful in our healing, which comes when we have a brain that we can help to be open to our intuition and our inner knowing. I went, you know what? That breath has been held since I was 12. That breath is so deep in my diaphragm. And when I went, it was like, that's the breath that goes when I go breathless in a I know I'm having a PTSD reaction often before my brain does, because I feel my breath go really shallow. My voice gets very breathy and I can't talk. And I went, wow, how magic is that? And I was talking to the 12-year-old in me, going, oh, sweetheart, it's like hearing you and with you. And then that was like such a gift, right? Such a gift, that breath. I was like, oh, that breath is magic. That's just doing things. Because that kind of a healing will go on for a long time. It's in the consciousness, held in the cells, unconsciously. That was a subconscious breath held for 56 years. Just a long time to hold your breath. And I'll be doing more with that today. Like this afternoon, I'll be really resting and allowing that to come through. And then the practitioner was just putting her hands on the knee. And what I enjoy about osteopathy is they do a lot of craniosacral work with the fluid moving in the body and the fascia. And that's, I know, very helpful at a cellular level. So she was with the knee. And suddenly it was like, oh, the knee. I thought, oh, that knee feels safe. It's a funny conversation, but when you start talking to your body, it's like, that knee feels safe. You know what? I don't think that knee has ever felt safe before. So yes, those annoying people have been saying to me, oh, knee, moving forward. And I'll be going, oh, I've done a lot of moving forward. Don't talk to me about that. And I just had this whole deeper, I went, oh, I have done a lot of moving and moving forward in my life. I've been very brave. I've lived in other countries. I've left relationships that weren't working. I've moved for careers. Done a lot of brave moves, including this one up to Queensland. But that knee has never felt safe. And I checked in with the other knee and I went, well, bless the other knee for hanging in there, but she hasn't felt that safe either. And it was again like layers from the subconscious of like, wow, that's a lot of moving through life with this feeling of, I'm doing it, but I don't trust life. I don't trust that I'll be safe. I don't trust that people will be safe. Because that's the PTSD program and awareness that for those of us who've had it since childhood gets very embedded in our consciousness. So I had the joy this morning of actually feeling what it feels like. I would say my awareness is for the first time in my life of what that knee felt like to actually feel safe. And so again, just coming in with the self-care and the like, yeah, even deeper, even deeper. So I get to love my knees even deeper. Get to love the ankle that was also not very happy and had been twisted even deeper. Get to breathe that breath consciously even deeper. And I was thinking, what will I speak about this morning? I thought, self-care, self-love, that commitment to our own quality of our precious, precious life, it never ends. And it is most useful if you will allow it and encourage this commitment you make to yourself to go even deeper and even deeper. If you really, truly love someone, truly, madly, deeply, that love never loses the desire to go even deeper. There's no end to knowing another human, even if it's our child or our partner or our parent. There's no end to having a deeper appreciation of who they are and how they feel and what lights them up. And if we are one of those beings in their lives who makes them feel good and lights them up and loves to be in their company, then that love can, and I'm even going to say needs to go even deeper and even deeper. And our children, doesn't matter if they're grown-ups, they're still evolving and going even deeper. And us, many of us have never truly had a deep conversation with ourselves, looked deeply into our own eyes and just said on your birthday, wow, I acknowledge you for hanging in here all this time and doing what you've done and living what you've lived. You don't have to make a judgment call about it. It was good, it was bad, you did it right, you did it wrong. Not really important. Because when you're really loving people, it's not about that. It's about, I see you, I acknowledge you, I appreciate all of it. Nobody's perfect, nobody's getting it right. That's not it. We are so precious and so unique, and all our lived experience is so important. So important, all of it. So, there's that, thank you, there's that great Chinese proverb. I never know to tell it beautifully, but, like the man goes out to the field and falls over and people go, oh, bad luck. And then the soldiers come through to take the able-bodied men away to war, and he's not chosen because his leg's broken. They go, oh, good luck. And then his horse dies and they go, oh, bad luck. And then something else happens that would have been a problem if he'd had a horse. They go, oh, good luck. It's that thing of that interpretation of it's good, it's bad. Oh, people go, oh, what a shame you fell over on your birthday. It's like, is it though? Actually, I'm having kind of an amazing week, learning to care for myself even deeper and take in a breath I hadn't had for 55 years. Did I need to fall down the hill to do this? I don't know, but that's what happened. But I'm celebrating being able to care for myself and commit to myself no matter what shows up. And that's not a should, that's an invitation to really embrace, if you even deeper, that second C of that commitment to your own quality of life. Because you are precious, you are a human being, every single one of them is precious. And you're here this morning with me, so I thank you so much for your precious company and for listening to my story. And I hope that it has just provided you with some insights, because I know I get lots of insight listening to others. So thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to sharing with you again next Monday. All right, everybody, hope you have a beautiful day.